Well, good morning and welcome to the future site of the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley's Research Building. Yay! I am Veronica Gonzalez, Vice President for Governmental and Community Relations at UTRGV, and I will be introducing our distinguished speakers this morning. But before I do so, let me take a moment to thank all of our elected officials and their staff representatives, as well as UT system officials and others who are joining us here today. With this being election time and voting that's ongoing, I know how busy everyone's schedules are, so we are very grateful for your attendance. So that I don't miss anyone, if you are an elected official or a staffer, would you please stand so everybody can recognize you? Today is a very special day for all of us at the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley, one that we've been waiting for a very long time. And in a moment, you're going to hear from our speakers on why this research building is so important to the many partners. To get where we are today, it took many meetings between university officials, DHR representatives, UT system representatives, our architect, I just saw Laura, Laura, welcome. You name it, there were a lot of people involved. And to everyone that's been involved in the planning, thank you. I think years from now, we're going to look back on this day and truly understand its significance to our community and to our region. Now, before we get to our speakers, we have a gentleman here that is very special to all of us. He has to be in Austin in just a few minutes, so I'd like to welcome him up here just to say hello to everyone and say a few words before we get to our speakers. Senator Hinojosa.
Hey, if I don't put my hat on, you can't recognize me, right? Who are you? There. You know, this is really an exciting day. I want to thank the UTRGV University, President Guy Bailey. He's done an outstanding job. I know that we work very closely with Dr. Renaissance Hospital and their leadership and the public officials. What's really amazing is that this is just another exciting day in the process of continuing the growth of our medical school, providing better health care for our community and our families. This is another example of how we work together as a team, how we manage different situations and events and sometimes problems that come up. By working together, we can accomplish a lot. And for us, we're a family, we're a community, and I just want to thank all the leadership, Mayor Jim Darling, for working with UTRGV, President Guy Bailey. I know when we first met and started discussing having a special building, administration building, we got something even better, a medical research facility that goes hand in hand with a medical school. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for letting me say a few words, share some of my remarks. We have an emergency committee hearing, finance committee hearing up in Austin to deal with CPS and foster homes. As you well know, there are a lot of issues and problems, so that's where I'm heading, and I am very grateful you allowed me to share a few of my remarks. Thank you.
Thank you to our senator. Without him, we would not have UTRGV and the medical school. So we're very grateful to Senator Hinojosa, Senator Lucio, and all of the Valley delegation for the work they did. Now, let me introduce our first speaker. It's also someone that everyone here knows very well. He's very dear to all of us, Dr. Carlos Cardenas. He is currently serving as the interim CEO of Doctors Hospital of Renaissance, as well as maintaining a very busy practice as a gastroenterologist. Not to mention that he was just elected as president-elect to the Texas Medical Association here in Texas. So we're very happy for that. Dr. Cardenas was one of the founders of Doctors Hospital at Renaissance. Carlos, it doesn't seem that long ago that I remember just the very first day surgery tower, and it's amazing what has happened since. The growth is tremendous. So please help me to welcome the ever so busy Dr. Carlos Cardenas.
Thank you, Veronica. what's really cool is to look out on this audience and see some of the young folks in the audience wearing the white coats and thinking about a couple of things. One is dreams. Dreams can become reality, and it's amazing what you can do when you come together as a community and you put up from your community and you put up from the organizations that build your community, and you have the visionary leadership that we've had in Austin and our community leaders who dreamt 3 generations ago that they could build a medical school in South Texas, and the legislative reality that occurred the last legislative session. With the vision of the University of Texas, the vision of local leaders, and our elected leaders, that has come to fruition. I've sat before you and stood before you before and told you what our vision was for the Rio Grande Valley and how we could transform the area that we live in. That 1.4 million people should not be denied the level of health care that is available to other metropolitan areas of similar size. All of those seem to be north of the Nueces River. Well, that changes today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming this morning to celebrate another chapter in our journey to world-class healthcare and research capacity here in the Rio Grande Valley. If you look in the clinical trials and the things that have been studied, you won't find a whole lot of trials that have been done on the Mexican-American population. That too is going to change. This new research building is a public-private partnership, as many of the other things that we have ventured to do by partnering with our community in order to build a first-class medical center and research facility. This community fought for decades, as I mentioned, to bring a medical school here. And because we need to train the next generation of physicians, it was important that we do this, because I am the average age of the physician in South Texas, and I need somebody to care for me. So it's important that we get them trained quickly. We don't want just any medical school. We want a top-tier medical school. And if you look at top-tier schools anywhere across the country, you will find that major universities have a medical school on their campus. So the future is very bright for the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley and the medical school, as well as the training programs affiliated with it. We want our students to train with the best and to be on the cutting edge of medical research and technology. This community deserves to have a medical infrastructure that will rival the hospitals in Dallas, San Antonio, and Houston. It takes money, and it takes an investment and a leap of faith from the community and the state to make these things happen. That is why Doctors Hospital Renaissance has been so committed to this project. We have already invested in residency programs to train the next generation of physicians, because we know that 65% of residents that train in a program will stay within a 150-mile radius of where they trained. That's important. This new state-of-the-art research institute will allow our new medical school to attract the highest caliber of researchers and instructors to help us train our medical students and our residents. It will also foster a biomedical research industry that will create high-paying jobs and transform this community, and it's happening almost every week as we interview those individuals who will come to work in this new facility and in the programs that we have helped to build. I am proud to be a part of this endeavor, and I look forward to standing back here with you soon when we have the grand opening, because as you know, once we break ground, it doesn't take us long to put that building up. Thank you for coming this morning.
Thank you, Dr. Cardenas. Now it's my pleasure to introduce my boss, a man who has been in the Valley for only a few years, but has already made a tremendous impact in his adopted home. Dr. Guy Bailey is the founding president of UTRGV, and having worked closely with him over the last few years, I can honestly say that we are very fortunate to have him at the helm of our university. He brings with him a wealth of experience and best practices from some of the largest universities across the state and the nation. His concern for our students, which he always reminds us should be first and foremost in our minds. combined with his business acumen and his willingness to work with anyone, make him an effective leader that is taking our university to new heights. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Guy Bailey.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here today. This may not be the happiest day of my life, but it's up pretty close. This building is the result of a lot of hard work, a long process. We're doing things with this building that people have not done before in the UT system. This public-private partnership is really different from anything else that's happened. It took a lot of hard work, and it truly is a partnership. It's the university, it's DHR, it's the City of McAllen, and without any of those three, this wouldn't work. Think about that. It's all three of us coming together for a common purpose, making things happen, and without any of the three partners, it wouldn't happen. So thank you, Mayor, and to the entire City of McAllen. Thank you, DHR. We're very appreciative of your hard work and your patience as we work through this. A little bit about this research building. This building will have a greater economic impact than anything we have built or that we'll build in the next few years. A little bit about research. What research does, it provides cures. It provides information about how disease starts and what's the genetics of disease. And when you understand that, you begin to understand research. Research has an enormous economic impact as well. We have in our audience today, I didn't tell her I was going to say this, Sarah Blanchero Williams. Sarah, would you raise your hand? Some of you may know her or may have met her. We were fortunate a couple of years ago to hire Sarah and her team, and of course they study diabetes and obesity, and they're among the best in the world at that. They probably are the best in the world. Now, when they came, Sarah brought, I think 22 people, and about $12 million in federal funding. Sarah now has 52 people and about 20 million in federal funding. That's what happens when you hire researchers like that. This building will be full of Sarah Blanchero Williams. There will be people like that that will be in the building. The impact they will have will be enormous. Now, each research dollar that's expended, each dollar of research expenditures has about a 3-to-1 economic impact, okay? We expect this building, when it's up and running, to generate, and these are very conservative figures, people have told me I'm underestimating here, about $15 million in direct research expenditures a year, okay? Now, what's the economic impact of that? $45 million a year. Think about the economic impact, $45 million a year, right here in McAllen. Now, think about that over 20 years. And you assume just a little increase there. That's $1 billion economic impact. Think about it. This is $1 billion investment in the Rio Grande Valley, in the City of McAllen, and in our future as citizens of the Valley. So when I say this is one of the most impactful things we'll ever do, it really is. The impact is enormous. This will help us attract the best researchers, and by the way, sitting next to Sarah is Andy Sin. Andy, would you mind just kind of raising your hand? Andy is a brand new hire. He's the chair of biomedical science. Now, how were we able to steal Andy away from UTSA and get him down here? In part because of this building. The building that's going up, the facilities are what attracts researchers. And the promise of this building and being able to fill it with top researchers, that's what brings in people like Andy. So you can see the impact that this has. It will have a ripple effect that we'll all be feeling for years to come. Again, I can't tell you how important this is in our vision for the university. We had really 5 very simple goals. They're not so simple, but there are 5 goals as an institution. We wanted our students to be just as successful as students at any university in the country. We think our students have the capacity to be as successful as people at A&M or at Texas Tech or at UT. So student success was a priority. We wanted educational opportunities we think our students deserve the same educational opportunities that students deserve in Dallas or in Houston or in San Antonio. This medical school is only the first of the expansion of those opportunities. The third thing, we wanted to do research on issues that were important to the Valley. What better thing could we research than diabetes and obesity? We wanted to enhance medical care in the Valley. The School of Medicine, we have a group of our PAs out here. These people are often at the front line. You often see them when you go to the doctor. And so expanding health care in the Valley. And the last thing, we wanted to be engaged with our communities. This building helps us do all of those things. So it's a great pleasure and great honor for me to be here today and to break ground on this building. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Bailey. I notice we also have Dr. Aaron Manusoff here. He's heading up our family medicine clinic that's just down the road and has brought some of his folks with him as well. Thank you for being here, Dr. Manusoff. Well, as you all know, one of the most exciting developments at the university has been the opening of the School of Medicine. A medical school in South Texas where we can grow our own doctors is something that we dreamed about for decades, and it finally became a reality this summer when we opened our door to 55 smart and compassionate students. Naturally, leading such a school and all that goes with it is not an easy endeavor. And our next speaker is a physician and educator who joined us as our interim dean this year. Dr. Steve Lieberman is an endocrinologist who oversaw UTMB's medical student education program and has received both local and statewide recognition for his educational work from both students and his peers. We are fortunate to have Dr. Lieberman with us here at UTRGV. Please help me welcome Dr. Stephen Lieberman.
Thank you, Veronica. It's really a treat and a privilege to be here in the Valley, to be part of the new School of Medicine, which has been so long in the dreams of people down here and so long in the making. The importance of this building for the future of the medical school can't be overstated. When we talk about medical schools, typical medical schools have three missions: education, clinical work, and research. The UT Rio Grande Valley has four. The fourth is community outreach and community service. We are of the Valley, by the Valley, and for the Valley. And the research piece allows us to bring people who will augment all of those missions to the Valley. So we're very, very grateful to the collaboration with DHR and with the City of McAllen to make this possible. This will allow us to bring in renowned experts who will do research and expand clinical programs and expand educational programs that will reside not just here on this campus, but also will reach out into the Valley. So it's really an honor and a privilege, and this is a great day. As Veronica said earlier, we'll look back on this and say that this building had a key impact on the development, not just of the medical school, but of the economy and healthcare in the Rio Grande Valley. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lieberman. Our next speaker is we call him Armour, but Robert Armour Force, the Chief Academic Officer at Doctors Hospital at Renaissance. Dr. Force is a general surgery specialist and serves as clinical professor of surgery for UTRGV. He's also president of the Health Sciences Institute at Renaissance. Dr. Force has over 40 years of diverse experience, particularly in general surgery, having performed, get this, more than 1,000 bariatric operations, including gastric bypass, gastroplasty, gastric binding, among others. He is a prolific researcher and has authored and co-authored more than 300 publications, books, and book chapters. Appropriately, he was intimately involved in the planning of this research building. We are happy to have him in the Rio Grande Valley and at UTRGV and DHR. Please welcome Dr. Armour Force.
Wow! We finally made it. Laura, stand up. Yeah, a lot of round of applause. Another person who tends to hide in the back but was a major player in this is Alonzo Cantu. Alonzo. A year ago, we started, we kind of had a little meeting, and then it turned out to a big meeting, and then another little meeting, and it went on and on. What was important was to get it right, because it's really, as you heard, a keystone into many things that we want to do here. We really are celebrating a historic moment. Certainly, Doctors Hospital Renaissance and our Research Institute, under the direction of Lisa Trevino, are really excited because this allows us to fulfill our mission, our commitment to the community to provide cutting-edge, state-of-the-art health care. Now, what you've heard about is a research building, and it does research. But many research institutes end up with a lot of research in the drawer, right? So what happens? It has to be translated. Translational medicine is a very important part of this. So part of why I pushed and why I thought it was very important for this building to be on the hospital campus is because research is research until it gets translated into clinical care, and that's what we want to have happen here. We want our doctors, students, and residents to work with the scientists so that we can translate this to the health care of this community. And there are devastating diseases here and a community that has been underserved in so many ways, and today is another step forward to changing that, to driving forward to make this community a healthier community. And research is one of those key parts of it, and this building will make it happen. We look forward to our partnership with UTRGV. It's an exciting day. Thank you.
And of course, we'll be calling on you quite a bit to make sure that the research is getting done right. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Force. Well, strong partners are critical to the success of any large endeavor, and our next speaker is someone that understands very well how important it is to be collaborative in order to grow our community, our economy, and our quality of life here in the Rio Grande Valley. While UTRGV's main campuses may be in Edinburgh and Brownsville, Mayor Jim Darling understands that we're really one large region and that many of our faculty and students live, shop, dine, bank, see health providers, and frequent businesses in McAllen. He knows that success for UTRGV means success for McAllen and has been fully supportive of this research building being located in McAllen. Jim, thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mayor Jim Darling.
Thank you, and wow, it's so exciting to be back. You know, I retired from the hospital in July, and so it's the first time I've seen some of my friends and family, my DHR family since then, and I want to apologize for not answering some of your phone calls and finishing some of the memos, but at any rate.
We're not off the campus yet.
Yeah. It's very exciting to be here. You know, I want to thank Dr. Bailey, of course, for his leadership in all this, and Dr. Cardenas has been great working for you. What a leader, not only here, but in the state of Texas. It's fantastic. And, you know, things don't get done very slowly here at Renaissance. And I know usually we have the finance committee and they approve a construction contract, and then before the meeting's over, we listen for the bulldozer from Cantu Construction, because when it gets ready to go, Mr. Cantu doesn't waste any time. And we really appreciate your leadership, not only what you do for DHR, but all our area, not only in McAllen, but certainly the Rio Grande Valley. You know, I was thinking about what this meant. A couple of years ago when we talked about DHR growing and we wanted to do south, we went to the city, and Veronica Whitaker's here, and said, you know, we need to do something significant. And so along with negotiation with DHR and Mr. Cantu and Roy Rodriguez, we created this campus here on the south side through a partnership between the city and DHR. And I had a conflict, so I couldn't be involved in it. And so Roy Rodriguez, our city manager, said, boy, Mr. Cantu is pretty hard to negotiate with. And I said, I'm sorry, I got a conflict. And Alonzo says, yeah, the city is so slow. And I said, I'm sorry, I got a conflict. So I'm really surprised that it got done, and certainly was a lot of work. And we appreciate the city commission's effort in that. You know, one of the things when we were talking about and I was just talking to somebody from another hospital this morning about the resident program. And one of the things that happened before we could have a medical school, the coordinating board said we're not going to open up any more medical schools without resident slots, because Texas was exporting medical students to other places. We didn't have residency programs for that. And so you looked locally in the valley, really, and said, where are we going to provide these resident slots? And because of the size of some of the hospitals, because of financial restraints, because of federal government, the way they fund residency programs, there really was no one left. And DHR didn't have a residency program. And I remember going to the board meeting with the administration and saying, we need to step up to the bar. And it's going to cost us some money. It's going to slow us down administratively. But it's not going to happen and without a commitment from DHR to provide the resident slots to make the medical successful. So congratulations to all the administrators and everybody else that deals with the residence program at DHR, because this medical school would not happen without their commitment to do that. Now, you know, but by the way, I'm so excited about this. Is the most exciting thing as mayor. It's happened to me, with the exception maybe of Tony Bennett performing at the unit. But at any rate, we'll see about that one when it happens. You know, in San Antonio about 40 years ago, a little more than 40 years ago, they started a research program that's brought billions and billions of dollars to the city of San Antonio. And you know, it started with one building. I'm sure it only started with one building. Well, this is the one building that's going to start it for the Rio Grande Valley. So I'm excited to be here. It's a great time. I can hear the bulldozers ready to get going. So let's break this ground and get it started. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you all so much for coming. I know it's been warm here, but imagine how much warmer it is outside. And if you have some time, please join us as we, over here to my right, we have the shovels, and we're going to have some photos with some of our dignitaries breaking ground. And so.